Julie.
Yeah?
Earlier today, there was the chat on Alpha Flight.
Yes.
That you had been instrumental in suggesting.
And then my disability prevented me from attending.
Discussing disabilities and mental health in general.
Yeah.
Is there anything you'd like to add to what was discussed on Alpha Flight?
Sure, I was not actually awake for the discussion on Alpha Flight, so I don't know what they discussed.
Well,
but
go watch it, and then it would be challenging for me to summarize it in a way that would be useful to you here. So,
Could have been coming in.
I don't know. You want to just talk about stuff for a few minutes?
Yeah. So the disability that affects me, I have a few. ADHD is a big one. That's probably, I think ADHD and ME are what affect me the most. ME stands for myalgic encephalomyelitis. It's also it's the same thing as chronic fatigue syndrome, which is a name we're kind of moving away from because it doesn't really encapsulate all the aspects of the disorder. It's not a fun one to have. I was diagnosed with it as a teenager following a bout of mono that I never actually recovered from, which is the story for a lot of people with ME. It's actually looking like long COVID might in fact be ME with a different name.
Interesting.
That's been the going theory for a while.
Huh.
So if it's not the same thing, it's very similar. I have very low energy. I have disordered sleep. We're getting more and more proper research into it from actual scientists that's suggesting there's more and more research pointing to it being mitochondrial. Like my mitochondria just don't make enough energy.
Interesting.
So, yeah, my energy levels when I'm in a bad crash have actually been likened to, this is not me trying to be dramatic or steal anyone's thunder, but like actual doctors and scientists have compared the energy levels to someone with late stage cancer or AIDS. Like that's kind of where we're at. My case is actually, I'd say moderate. There are people with ME who are completely bedbound or housebound. I'm very lucky in that it's not progressed to a point where I can't leave my apartment ever. Like the fact that I can be here physically is really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely affects all aspects of my life. I really have to take it day by day, sometimes hour by hour. There's a lot of stuff I've missed out on. I can't be physically active, which sucks. Like, you notice me couch dancing. I cannot stand up and dance. I don't have that kind of energy. Yeah, I've had to quit a lot of hobbies. School was a struggle, but I did it. Yeah, it's not easy and it's not visible. I use a cane, which is visible. Gets me seats on buses, usually.
Usually.
Yeah, but yeah, it's been kind of it's been interesting having the perspective of having a physical disability, because there's a lot of stuff that I notice that affects me really directly that most of the people around me just don't even think about. Things like, I mean, yeah, just basic accessibility stuff like stairs. Stairs are awful. I hate them. I'm not alone in this sentiment. Things like...
Why can't everything just be flat?
Right?
Well,
or, alternately, why can't I float?
or
right.
why can't the people in places follow the American Disabilities Act and make sure that they are accessible?
'Cause money.
Okay, that's a better answer than why can't I float? Thanks, Ian.
You just need more balloons.
Ian.
Report bad businesses.
It wouldn't be a desert bus if somebody wasn't thrown under it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like I've been finding actually very recently. I'm a very late comer to this scene, but I've been finding a lot of kind of solace in the online cripple punk or C-punk community for people who are not reclaiming the slur, which is kind of an FU attitude towards ableism.
That is the first time
and
I've heard
disability.
that specific word.
Yeah.
Is it hyphenated?
Yeah,
Cool.
it can be.
Oh, okay.
I've seen both.
All right.
Rad.
Yeah, C-punk is rad, and it's kind of a, I mean, it's like It feels like a pride movement, but without the inspiration, because we hate inspiration porn so much.
Yeah.
I want to help you so much.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm rambling here, but because there's just so much.
Yeah, it's a big topic.
It's a big topic.
Yeah.
It's a huge topic. I'd say, yeah, like the things I deal with most are just, mourning the loss of my able body, which is a long time ago now. But still, it's always a bummer to realize that, oh no, I can't do this thing. Coming up against barriers to physical access, like, especially as winter is coming, uncleared curb cuts are a thing.
Oof,
Frequent issue at university was building services being like, oh yeah, we totally cleared all the walkways between buildings. No, you did not.
During the Alpha Flight chat, Alex was talking about being in Calgary in the winter and how that's a big problem.
And then just like, attitudes from people who just don't get it, like from the, oh, it must be nice to spend all day in bed. No, it's not. Sleeping 16 hours a day is neither fun nor good if it's something you have to do.
Also, from watching Julie, frequently not actually restful.
Yes.
Lying down and having it not be restful sucks.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
it's the
that's
worst,
another,
yeah.
no, none of my sleep is restful. It takes me like 2 hours to go to bed. Yeah, it's not great. So, I mean, one of the nice things that I love about the disability community is getting to talk to people and like kind of share life hacks. Just generally kvetch about the things that affect us, like stairs. Stairs.
I just want to see some like anti-stairs propaganda nonsense now.
Related. Stop tacking your goddamn bubblegum to the underside of stair railings. We need those.
Ew.
And we have to put our hands on them.
I use those all the time.
Yeah.
That's gross.
Right?
Well, you bring up one of my favorite points about accessibility is everyone's going to need to use them eventually.
Yup.
Yeah.
So,
Less than 2 minutes on the giveaway. Sorry.
Thanks, Graham.
Get you some wood things.
Get some
They're
wood things.
amazing.
That's the thing. I mean, disability, being disabled is a minority that people don't realize they could fall into at any moment. And so it kind of behooves you to care about it and support resources for it, because you may end up needing them yourself.
well, and normalize them.
Yes.
Because guess what? Every person on camera in this room right now, actually every person in this room is using an accessibility aid.
Yeah.
Can you tell what it is? I'll give you 3 guesses.
I know it is.
Just giving Chad a couple seconds. Yep, there it is
There it
right
is.
away.
There it is.
And these are pretty normalized, but these are a piece of equipment that I need to be able to walk around and just live.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm reminded of, and this is a thought that's definitely more for designers, because I spent a lot of time thinking about game design and stuff like that. But there was a graphic that from, I think, Microsoft, speaking of on the line of thought of like, everyone's going to need these eventually. And it was comparing like long-term disabilities versus short-term disabilities in use cases, being like, somebody might be missing an arm and need to use things one-handed is a long-term disability, but parents often have to hold a child in one hand, and
Yeah.
therefore that design is also for them.
Yeah.
And just sort of broadening your horizons on, this isn't just for this like 2% of your audience or whatever when you're pitching these things
Yeah.
to like, I need to add this feature. It's like, no, this is for everybody. We need to make sure that everybody in this case runs into this.
Yeah, like I'm a cane user, but I really appreciate automatic doors because I only have one hand free, which is something I didn't think about at all until I got my first cane and was like, oh, crap.
That's for when you get into the store. What happens when you get out of the store and you have shopping?
Yeah, I purposely have to use a basket when I'm shopping and not a cart because I need to be able to carry everything back out of the store in one hand
Yeah.
and walk it back to my apartment.
And you need that hand to open the door on the way out.
I sure do.
If I may, real quick, I had a couple of things I wanted to note, and I wanted to contribute a little to the discussion before I run away and eat my food, but I had to run off camera and get my food. I wanted to acknowledge that a number of donations came in that were specifically thanking you for your singing,
Oh, good.
and that was wonderful. I want to acknowledge, I didn't catch their name, but that a wonderful donor threw in a $1,000 donation in the middle of
wow.
that,
Wow.
which is why we're getting so close to the next hour
Oh,
there.
wow.
Like, this is moving while we're talking. And I wanted to add to the discussion because of a post that I saw in chat a little while ago that mentioned that one of the things that may not have been touched on as much earlier, which I'm not too concerned, we may have different viewers now, but was things that folks can do to help combat ableism. And when that topic comes up, a lot of the times we, as people on the internet, tend to focus on language and behavior surrounding that.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to put on my, volunteer team lead and also manager at a day job hat and say, if you're in a position of power, one of the biggest things that you can do is to advocate for folks who don't have that power. Provide those accommodations to people on your team, people at your company, people that you volunteer with. Recognize the fact that different people are able to contribute in different ways to that kind of thing and allow for it. It's important.
Yeah.
Facilitate a culture where people
Yeah.
feel safe asking you for accommodation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because my hope is that anybody that I work with or works for me in any capacity feels safe saying, hey, I'm having some difficulty with my disability today. I need to, I need a day. One of the things that I try and reinforce in the workplace, because it's less common there, is mental health day is a good enough reason. You don't have to tell me anything other than that. That's good enough, kind of thing. And a thing that all of us can do, no matter whether we're, a manager or volunteer team lead or not, is advocate for disabled folks politically. In Canada, in the US, there are all kinds of different laws around this, and some of them are helpful, but some of them aren't quite where they should be. For example, in reference to the Americans with Disabilities Act, I was shocked to discover several years ago that there's no Canadians with Disabilities Act for similar accommodations. I just kind of assumed that there was.
And even though that's a national act, it hasn't necessarily been updated since the 70s.
There's also that.
So
like when you are able to contribute to that sort of thing, like whether it's your strata deciding, how they're going to handle the new entryway for the building, or your local MP or MLA or congressperson, advocate for better supports for disabled folks, both from a financial perspective and for an accessibility perspective. This is something that anybody can do.
Annie Laurel in chat, who I happen to know is
Yes.
quite active in Canadian politics,
Yes.
mentions that in fact Canada did get one just last year.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know anything about
Okay,
it, so
'cause
that'd be a
I'm
great thing for you to educate yourself on if you're Canadian.
yeah.
I'm going to go read on my
Because
dinner break now.
yeah, apparently we did get something of this sort within the last year. So
Yeah.
Yeah, we're very. I feel like we're very slow to move away from a kind of one-size-fits-all approach to accommodations.
Yeah,
both in
'cause-
law and business. Because
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
We don't think about it because this
yeah,
is accommodated for, and the other accessibility needs should be accommodated
Yep.
for in society in the exact same way.
yeah, and there are so many accommodations that able people don't even think about. If a disabled person tells you that they need a particular accommodation, even if it sounds weird to you, even if it's something you've never heard of, please trust us.
Yeah.
We know.
Think about how hard it is for you as an able-bodied person to ask for any sort of accommodation, and now multiply that by several different points.
So I give a shout out to every time I bring up tinnitus, people
Yeah.
ask me if I've heard about the tapping the back of your head thing.
Have you tried yoga?
Single time. Yes, I have. I'm muted. Hi. Yeah, I've got tinnitus, like pretty bad tinnitus, and every single time I mention it, somebody brings up the "Have you tapped the back of your head" trick, and boy, do I get that every single time. Every time.
What I hear all the time is variations on my cane, particularly, you should get a sword cane. A, that's illegal in Canada.
Extremely.
B,
Oh yeah. concealed.
If I turn my cane into a sword, I no longer have a cane, and I will fall over, possibly onto the sword. So thanks, but no thanks.
I think one of the things I like to do to get people to think more about accessibility is to start with your computer. Especially if you have a Macintosh, because if you go into the accessibility options system preference, have a look around at all the different ways that you can change the way that you act with your computer. It's powerful. A lot of people need that to get through their day, but
Yeah.
the more opportunities we allow people to interact with the world, well, specifically in this instance with with their computers, but also with everything,
Yeah.
it gets easier for everyone.
I've been really happy to see more accessibility in game design. Chicory was a standout example for me in recent releases. The default, like the built-in color palette, whereas previous games, even by the same studio, have had like a color blindness mode. The color palettes in Chicory are all by default designed with color blindness in mind, which is very cool. The accessibility option that impacted me in particular with that game was the ability to adjust the amount of reaction time needed for platforming puzzles.
Yes.
So that I could play even on my worst days. I could just slide that right down and not have to worry about timing and hand coordination stuff, which is really cool, a really great thing that they thought about, and I was so happy.
And then that allows you to be a part of the community of people who have played this game.
Exactly.
And interact with them in the same way as they have. Where if that wasn't there, you wouldn't be able to.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, I'm happy that more games are putting in, easy modes or story modes, where, because my favorite thing about about games is the storytelling, and I'm really, really grateful that a lot of studios are deciding to remove that barrier to experiencing gameplay. Like, you are a real gamer if you play games.
Yeah, that's the end of it. And if you are specifically denying the ability to play games to certain types of gamers, what the hell are you doing? Because it's a willful choice.
Yeah.
I don't know, I just like to be able to very easily swap on black and white mode because it really helps me as a designer. Or switches are the other one I like. Again, useful for people with mobility issues in their hands. But boy, now can I also use all my hands, but also my feet to do key commands. And that's super helpful for me.
Yeah.
Also, shout outs to the Microsoft accessibility controller.
Absolutely,
That thing is
yeah.
super cool.
Oh yeah.
Just the way it leverages existing medical technology that has been individualized for whoever the person involved is. Like, they've got medical technicians to be like, we've designed some buttons for you and stuff like that, and the ability to plug that all into the same controller, which is then treated just as an Xbox family controller, like every other one, and just have it work is super cool.
Yeah, it's a neat device.
Yeah. There's a great group, Can Assist, over at UVic, who that's a oh gosh, are they a non-profit? I don't know the distinctions anyway. But they their thing is they come up with unique engineering solutions for people with various accessibility needs that aren't addressed by mainstream devices. So and a lot of the stuff they've done is like custom gaming rigs and controllers and things for people with like limb differences or different forms of paralysis and stuff. Like they've worked with individuals and come up with custom solutions for them to allow them to participate in whatever in the way that they need to. It's very cool.
Huh.
They've done some really cool stuff.
Also, if you're a web developer, check your sites with screen readers.
Yes.
It's free, and if you don't, then you're cutting out a bunch of people from accessing your work.
I will say like 90% of my work here at Desert Bus this year on the comms team has been writing the alt text for all of the images that we post up on social media.
Every time I design a form, the last thing I do is go through each form field and accurately describe what it is and what it's for.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's worth it.
Well, yeah, it's worth it. It should just be the default.
Cool.